Statistics show us that 85% of advisors will fail within the first 5 years and 90% of advisors will not make it to their 10th year. I was almost part of that statistic, but luckily I changed these 3 things, which I'm going to share in this video, that allowed me to scale my brokerage to 6 figures, 100% online actually, and get past the 10-year mark and build a thriving insurance practice. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to do in order to do the same. What is up, guys? For those of you new to the channel, my name is Philip Setter, and I've been in the insurance industry, like I said, for over 10 years now. And again, I've been able to scale my practice 100% online using social media and digital marketing. If you guys want to do the exact same thing in your business, I recorded a 2-hour completely free mini course where I explain exactly how to do that step by step. I will put that in the pinned comment below as well as the description. But without further ado, let's just get right into this video. So before we get into it, let me just briefly explain how I got into the industry and a little bit of my experience, just so you can have a little bit of context of where I'm coming from. So I got started in the insurance industry in 2014. Probably similarly to how you got started or most advisors get started. I got recruited into an insurance company. They were doing a big recruiting spree and I got swept up in it all and said, oh, this looks great, I'll try this out. And what ended up happening is I realized that I loved the industry, but maybe I didn't love the company that I started with so much. So I was in the industry, and I was with that company for about a year, and then I left and I got started as an independent broker here in Canada, which I still am to this day. And I did the classic, marketing and sales techniques, just like every other advisor when they're starting out. I went to all my friends, all my family, everyone that I could find and tried to sell them a policy. I had no real clear message or clear target market, or I didn't know what I was selling. I was just kind of like talking to anybody and everybody that would listen to me and try and buy a product. I did that for a couple of, maybe a year or two. And then I luckily had the opportunity to go to an MGA presentation. I went to a seminar, and that's where they were talking about using life insurance and different critical illness insurance as well as a tax strategy. And at the time, I thought hey, that's pretty cool. I'm a young kid at this point, maybe 25, 26 years old. And so when I saw that, I thought that that's great. I could probably connect with business owners a lot more easy than I can connect with families. I wasn't married at the time. I didn't have kids. I didn't really have people that depended on me financially. So I couldn't really connect with, families and parents as, effectively as I can now. But business owners, I could speak that language. I could, understand tax and learn that market. And so that's when I went all in on the business owner market. I started running seminars. I did them all over Canada: Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto, Vancouver. I partnered with a law firm out of Toronto, and we're able to do these joint seminars for hundreds of accountants and lawyers and or business owners, again, all across Canada. And I was able to grow that business to 6 figures, all with face-to-face marketing. So, we did cold calls to fill the rooms. We did networking events. We did seminars, face-to-face, wine and dine. It's a very intimate business. And when COVID happened during 2020, of course, all those face-to-face interactions took a pause. So I needed to reevaluate, what it was that I really wanted to do in this business. And it was around that time, that I looked at what I was doing for business with the seminars and everything else. And I kind of decided that's great. And I love that business. But at the end of the day, if I'm not in front of the room running a seminar, if I'm not in front of the client, no business comes in, right? I'm not making money unless I'm actively in there. So I didn't really own a business. I owned a job, and that's fine. Listen, if that's what you want to do, there's no problem with that. But I wanted to build a little bit more of a sustainable business and something that I could take 2 weeks off, a month off, and business didn't stop coming in. Business kept coming in. I was able to, still make money while I wasn't actively working in the business. And so it was around that time that I launched my online brokerage, Affinity Life, where we developed the software to completely have applications submitted online. The client can go in, do a needs analysis, get a quote, fill out the application, and I just get all the submitted details. I built that brokerage out. And then I got into the world of digital marketing, and I did social media, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, etc. And I've been able to scale that business to 6 figures as well. 100% online, everything inbound, 100% coming to me. I do 0 outbound marketing or paid ads in that. And so along the way, I made a boatload of mistakes, and I hope that I can share some of them with you here so you can leapfrog everything that I've done in my business and avoid all of the mistakes that I made. So let's just get right into the presentation here. So starting with number 1, niching down onto some target market that you want to work with. And I know this is a little bit cliche advice. You probably heard this before. Oh, you need to niche down. You need to find your target market. However, it's true. I'll tell you that right off the bat, it's true. When I first got started in 2014, I was just trying to, throw darts at anything, friends, family, colleagues, anyone that I could talk to. And I didn't really have a business then. I just had, a part-time job on the side. It didn't really make me any money. But when I focused all in on the business owner market, I was able to scale that business to 6 figures because I was very specific about the messaging, who I was helping, and how I helped them. So, number 1 here, when you sell to everyone, you sell to no one. You need to, before you get into this business, or I guess when you're in this business, you need to figure out who is your target market you're going to go after. Now, one thing that I want to say here, niching doesn't exclude others. This is something that I was petrified about, where I didn't want to niche down because I thought that if I messaged it, I had messaging or branding or landing pages for one specific market, that means that everyone else wouldn't want to do business with me because they, oh, this guy, he doesn't work with, regular people. He only works with these people. And I'm going to tell you right now, that is not true. When I actually niche down to one target market, not only did it set me apart from everybody else and then allowed me to dominate in that market, but then it also allowed other people to say, hey, this guy actually knows what he's doing and I want to work with him. Maybe he still works with me if he's, I know he's that target market, but maybe he's still going to work with me. I'll reach out and see if he works with my market as well, which I still get to this day. I get hundreds of leads, both on my target market side, which I'm going to talk about here in a second, as well as just the general market, the other market, everyone else that isn't in my target market. So I fought this for years. When I launched Affinity Life in 2020, it was very, generalized. We sell life insurance to Canadians. And you know how much business I got? Virtually zero. But once I niched down and I became the go-to guy in a specific market, which again, I'm going to share here, all of a sudden I got tons of leads and referrals from that market because there's an exponential effect when you work within one specific market, but I still got tons of leads on the other side. So it does not exclude other people. You can niche down and still have other people come in other target markets. So here's what I would recommend. When you're looking at a niche, when you're trying to figure out who your target market is that you want to work with, a lot of people will gravitate towards maybe a specific product or a specific market because they think that's where a lot of money is. For example, and I did this the same in my business, I got into the business owner market because I said, I want to work with business owners because 1, I enjoy taxes, but 2, you can make a lot of money from them. That's, it's a very lucrative target market. A lot of brokers will target maybe dentists. They might target doctors. They might target, surgeons or something like that. I'm not saying that you can't do that. And if that's something you want to do, obviously you can see in my business, I've done that. But where you may find much better success as opposed to going directly to something that you may not be familiar with is go to something and find a niche that resonates with you. So here's the thing. Listen, if let's say your wife or your husband is a doctor, or your brother's a doctor, or your sister's a doctor, and you know their pain points, you've spoken to them, you've figured out all of the different, messaging and pain points and struggles they go through and grad school and all of that, sure, that could be something that resonates with you. However, if you don't have that, find something within your own life that you can build a target market around. So this could be something like a hobby. This could be something like an interest, okay? And I'll get into some examples here in a second. This could be faith-based. This could be a past job or avocation. I'll just put job, okay? This could be, what else could it be? I mean, going a little bit past, niches, but it could be a specific product, or it could be, again, a specific group. However, these may not resonate with you. So let me explain what I mean here. Hobby. For me, I'm a very avid mountain sports enthusiast. Rock climber, ice climber, backcountry skier. I spend a lot of time in the mountains, and it's very easy for me to connect with that group and build messaging and branding around them because I'm that person, right? I know the struggles that you go through to try and get life insurance as a climber because I'm a climber and I tried to get life insurance. And I know how difficult it is, and I know some of the concerns that I have about exclusions and loopholes and ratings and all these other things. And so when I built out my target market around mountain sports enthusiasts, I was able to use my own interest and use all of my own, struggles and everything that I went through to really resonate with that specific group. So hobby for me, this was climbing. But some of the other things, let's just go into this. It could be, it could be running, right? You could build an audience around running, maybe marathons or triathlons or biathlons or something like that. Ironman, things like that. Interest, this could be cooking. This could be golf. This could be, what else is there? This could be, let's say, cycling. There's so many different things that you could create a brand around and create a target market around. Faith, maybe you're very religious, you're Christian, and you are, let's say, the faith-based financial planning, how to, steward God's money or something like that. Now you can connect with people who are also interested in that. Past job, let's say maybe you were an electrician, right? Or maybe you worked as a nurse, something like that. The struggles of that past avocation because you lived it, right? Like you went through everything, and you can pull from past experience and build the brand, the messaging, everything around that. So this is something you should absolutely spend some time with. I went all in on the life insurance guy for mountain sports enthusiasts around 2021, and now I'm able to use all of my content that I'm, documenting for climbing when I go out for the weekend, when I go skiing or climbing or whatever it is, I can document all of that. I can build a following of people that are interested in that. And then I can share, hey, by the way, I am the guy, I am the life insurance broker for mountain sports enthusiasts. So not only does it allow you to build an audience around a shared interest, but also partnerships become a lot easier to get. Most insurance brokers and financial advisors will default to mortgage brokers, realtors, lawyers, what else? Other, maybe financial planners. That's the normal route to go for partnerships, but it's saturated. Every single insurance broker and financial advisor is trying to get those partnerships. Do you know how many people approached, the Alpine Club of Canada, the Association of Canadian Mountain Guides, search and rescue groups in the mountains, different trauma groups that deal with mountain sport accidents? Do you know how many people approach them for a partnership? Maybe one person or zero. And so when I went to those different organizations to try and get a partnership, it was very easy because the competition was virtually zero. And they saw that, hey, this guy works not only in mountain sports, but he is involved in mountain sports. So this is like the default guy that we want to work with. He understands the pains that we go through. So one of the things, and product, we'll just finish this up here a little bit more. Product could be, you could be I know everything there is about disability. I forgot how to spell that. That's okay. That means disability. And then group, this could be doctors, this could be maybe dentists, something like that. Of course, unless you can somehow connect with these people, unless you have something that draws you towards them, I would recommend first trying to find something that resonates with you. And if you're just at a point in your life where you have nothing that resonates with you or nothing that you feel you can build a brand around, then fine, okay? You can start with something like a product or a group similar to what I did, which leads me, of course, to the last point, which is this can evolve over time. It doesn't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it figured out. And it doesn't have to be for the rest of your life. You can see in my business, I started in, the general family market. Anyone and everyone, if you had a heartbeat, in a bank account, I wanted to work with you. From there, it went to the business owner market. There, it went back to the family market, just generally, very broad, but then it got specified into the mountain sports enthusiast market. So I've changed my niche several times throughout the years, and you can too. So you don't have to get it perfect from day one, but you need to figure out something to focus on. It's not going to exclude other people, but it is going to make you the dominant advisor in that target market. Okay. This is number one of the biggest mistakes I made. Number two, you need to build lead generation. This is something that I fought for years and years and years and years. And this is like, in me and my business, this is something that was like, I thought it was like the ugly part of the business. I didn't want to do lead gen. I didn't want to do cold calls. I didn't want to do, door knocking or any of these other things. I was angry at the time because I wanted to do my job. I just wanted to sit down in front of clients and talk about financial planning and insurance and investments, and let me just deal with the clients. But that is not the way that this works. 80 to 90% of our job is marketing. 10 to 20% of our job is actually sitting down with the client and having a conversation and figuring out whatever it is, financial planning, investments, insurance, etc. And so here's what you need to wrap your head around. You are not an insurance broker. You are not a financial advisor. You are a marketer. You need to market yourself and get yourself in front of clients and build lead gen. And yes, occasionally, 10 to 20% of the time, you get to do the fun part of your business, which is actually sitting down and doing, your job, talking about investments, insurance. So get off the high horse you're on and I don't want to do marketing. I don't want to get on YouTube. I don't want to get on Instagram. I don't want to do that. That is your job, okay? And the sooner you realize that, the sooner that you will actually start to build a thriving business of people coming to you. Let me explain business real quick. Let me explain the basics of business, specifically online business, because I'm going to assume that most of you want to build an online practice. Very easy. This is what it is, okay? Step number 1, here we go. Raw eyeballs. So this is just traffic. Step number 2, specific to online marketing. This is your funnel. So we have here, people coming in, and then here, and then here. Step number 3, the bottom of the funnel, of course, is, let's say, a call, or a meeting. So step number 3 is your product or service. So this is where you're actually getting in front of the client and doing that 10 to 20% of the job, where you're saying, okay, let's talk about insurance, let's talk about investments, etc. And step 4 is money. Hopefully you're making money at the end of this. So this is the basics of any online business where you can, offer any type of product or service. This is the essential basics right here. So if you are not making money, one of these 3 are broken. Either you don't have enough traffic, your funnel sucks and something's broken in your funnel, whether that's your landing page, your message, your sales copy, your drip campaign, your nurture, your retargeting, whatever it is. If you have a lot of traffic but people aren't booking calls, then something is broken in your funnel. And if you are getting a lot of book calls, however, you're not making a lot of money, you're not closing a lot of them, then something is wrong with your service, something is wrong with you on the phone, or you talking to the client, or something like that, and we need to fix that. But I would say 99% of the time, raw eyeballs, is your biggest problem. You probably don't need to work on your funnel. You probably don't need to work on your product or service. You're probably very good at explaining life insurance and financial planning and investments, etc. Once you get on the call, you probably can close most of the people that you sit down with. The problem isn't your funnel. The problem isn't you. The problem is you need to get more traffic and more raw eyeballs on your business. So here's the thing. Anything will work if you devote enough time to making it work. So this could be anything. This could be, I'll just write a quick list of, a bunch of different things this could be cold calling. This could be door knocking. This could be, paid ads, which I wouldn't recommend unless you know exactly everything else is working. This could be seminars. This could be social media, which I would highly recommend. If you've watched my channel for any amount of time, you will know that. This could be you shouting from top of building. It doesn't matter what it is. Anything will work. There was a story in Calgary. I live just outside of Calgary. I've lived here for over 15 years. In Calgary, there was a story about a guy who got a plastic chair and he tied, I think, 500 or 1,000 helium balloons to this chair, and it went up in the sky, and he flew across Calgary. You can look this up, it's online. He flew across Calgary during Stampede, which is a big summer festival that's very popular. And during that time, he got a ton, they had to take him down because the FDA or the flight, whatever it's called, the flight administration, because he was at risk of hitting planes. They had to intervene. He got many different fines, but once he actually got down and got in front of all the news outlets, He said it was literally to try and advertise his cleaning business. He had I think maybe a window cleaning business or something like that. And I'm sure he got a lot of traffic from that. He probably got a lot of clients. He's like, I just want to advertise this business. We just started it. Please go and follow this business. Here's the website. So anything will work. I would obviously recommend social media, YouTube. I built my entire business using YouTube, Instagram, Google, LinkedIn, and various other platforms, but those have been my main ones. So here's what you need to do. Doesn't matter what you pick. Here's the thing though, okay? Whatever you pick, commit to doing it for minimum 1 year. But the longer you can push your expectations out, the higher the chance of success you have. So this is what most advisors do, and this is what I did early on in my career, is they will start some type of source of traffic. Might be LinkedIn, might be Twitter, might be TikTok, might be door knocking, cold calling, whatever it is. They'll start it, they'll do it for a couple weeks, it won't work, and they'll say, this doesn't work for me, this doesn't work for advisors, whatever it is, I don't want to do it anymore. So then they switch and they go to another one, right? So they tried cold calling, it didn't work, then they try seminars. They try seminars, they got in front of the room, a couple people showed up, nobody bought from them, it doesn't work. Okay, I'm gonna go to YouTube. They make a few YouTube videos, they put them out, it doesn't work. YouTube doesn't work for financial advisors. I did the exact same thing in my business, and it wasn't until I finally committed to understanding, learning, and perfecting the system of YouTube specifically that I started to see massive results. And I recorded videos for 1 year before I saw a single client from YouTube. I recorded 8 videos per month on YouTube for a whole year, and I didn't see a single client. And after a year, then all of a sudden it was 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, etc. each and every single month. And so the way that you, in my opinion, can focus on this and actually dominate with this is choose one traffic source, whatever it is, doesn't matter, and then practice that one source every single day. So do that one thing with that source every single day. And if you do that for 5 days a week, 365 days a year, you will get better at it and you will perfect it and you will get leads from it. And it doesn't matter which one it is. Anything will work. If you actually take the time to learn the system, adapt, grow, and evolve, it will work. So every single day, write down what your one thing is that you need to do. So if you're going all in on business or all in on YouTube, then maybe the one thing today will be, okay, I need to record 3 videos. For example, that is my one thing today. I wrote in my notebook, record 3 videos. This is the last video I have to do, and then I'll be done there for the day, and then I'll cross this off. Tomorrow, it's going to be scheduling a bunch of content that I need for next month. So every single day, write it down, in your notebook, the one thing that you need to do to drive one of these traffic sources forward, and you will dominate it in your business. So going on to the last point. Number 3, use some type of systems to manage your business. This is something that I didn't do early on in my business. I just kind of met with people, didn't really follow up, didn't have any system, didn't know what I was doing, didn't have an email marketing campaign. I had nothing. And then I wondered why I wasn't making any money. This is something that you need to start early and start building, specifically a CRM, build up your email marketing list, get them on drip campaigns, start nurturing them, start reaching out, etc. You want to use a combination of automated and manual follow-ups to keep in touch with every single person you meet. Now, one of the ways that I would obviously recommend this is a CRM. If you don't have a CRM, go and get a CRM. It is one of the most important tools that you can have because you own that list. When I first got started in the insurance industry, I did not use a CRM. I didn't do any email marketing. Luckily, I met a guy that had a lot of patience. He taught me all about CRMs and how to use them. And I went and I built out all these different email marketing campaigns and started to build my collection, of contacts that I have in my CRM. And now I probably have anywhere from 5 to 10,000 contacts in my various different CRMs that I now own the list to, whether that's my insurance business, whether that's my software business, whether it's this coaching business. I have tons of contacts that I can send out emails to, and I can give them updates, I can push notifications, and I can keep them engaged with what I'm doing in my life. And so when it comes time to launch a new product or launch a new company or do anything like that, I now own this list and I can reach out to them, and I'm not starting at ground zero. So that's the first thing you need to do, is you need to figure out whatever it is that a CRM, that you want to use, figure that out and get that set up. Number 2 and number 3 are automate low value tasks and outsource where possible. So this is what you need to do in your business once you start to get traction in one of these systems. It doesn't matter what these systems are, but I'm going to take YouTube, for example, because that is what I teach and that is what has given me the most success in my business. You want to, again, number 2, automate, and number 3, outsource as much of the work as possible. So for me on YouTube, I use a ton of ChatGPT prompts to actually automate so much that I'm doing on YouTube, as well as my funnels, as well as on my website with my needs analysis, with my applications, with the compliance documents. I outsource the onboarding of all my clients, and I outsource a ton of work with YouTube, specifically with ChatGPT prompts and others as well. And when you get to a point where you can't automate it, pardon me, you now want to outsource it. So at the beginning, when I first started YouTube, it was me doing everything. I was, doing the thumbnails, I was going on Canva, I was creating the thumbnails, I was coming up with all the titles, I was coming up with all the scripts, I was doing all of the video editing myself, everything myself. But over time, as you start to scale, your time is limited. You only have so many hours in a day, and if you waste it all on low admin tasks or low value tasks in your business, you're not gonna get a lot done and you're not gonna be able to scale your business. And this was one of the biggest things I learned coming into 2022, 2023, 2024 is I just ran out of time. I just didn't have time to do more work. And so what I did is I hired a bunch of people to do all of the editing for me. I had graphic designers to do all of the graphic design and thumbnails for me. I hired an admin to do all of the scheduling, to do all of the titles, to do all of the admin posts, or pardon me, the Facebook posts, LinkedIn posts, emails, etc. And this freed up a ton of my time that I can now use to focus on high value tasks. So as you start to scale and as you start to use whatever one of these traffic sources up here, whenever you start to actually get good at it and perfect it, now you want to start using combinations of automation and outsourcing to get rid of all those low value tasks so you can focus on the high value tasks, which is making the content and getting in front of clients. So those are the 3 biggest mistakes that I made in my business. Now you know exactly how to skip them, and I hope you actually do skip them. If you guys want to actually use YouTube as your primary vehicle to build lead generation and get consistent leads in your business each and every single month, click here where I give you a full breakdown of how to use YouTube as a financial advisor. If you guys enjoyed this content, all I ask is you give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next video.